It's time to travel to the year 2000 as we get one step closer to discussing the debut album of Linkin Park. If that excites you, then we've got the cure for the itch. If not, well, you'll be crawling in your skin and it's too late to run away. Either way, in the end, it doesn't even matter. It's Hybrid Theory this week on Nothing Good.
I just want to tell you that was amazing.
That's awesome.
That was probably the best intro you've ever written.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's
Well,
trying
thank
to
you.
impress his guest.
Yeah.
I
Speaking of
think that's what it
guests,
is.
ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest, the one and only, a friend of ours for many, many years now.
Jeff Vandergriff.
Did you forget his name?
Wait from like,
Are you
my name
asking
is
me
Jeff.
what my name
I was
is?
like, hey, my name is Jeff. No, this is Jeff. I've been a friend of Noah and I since I've known you since I think 2004 or 5. It's somewhere in that ballpark. I can't remember exactly when. I remember where, but I don't know what year it was.
Yeah, it was at a Whitfield party.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a 2005. I feel like
Around
it was
there.
probably 2005.
Yeah, it was in that time span.
But your friendship with Mr. Brown here predates you and I.
Yeah. Not by much, but indeed it does.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be the best man at Jeff's wedding.
He was.
That's
True story.
fantastic.
That's
Yeah.
a special relationship.
Jeff, or as I like to call you, and will frequently call you on here, Jafar, as you have been in my phone for 15 years.
Yeah, I've been called many things. Some good, some not so good.
I go by many names.
I'll take it, whatever it is.
He is our favorite sneaky fucking Dutchman. And welcome to
fucking
Nothing
welcome.
Good.
Thank you. I'm super stoked to be here. I've been a long-time listener, first-time caller. So thanks for having me.
You are
I'm
our
excited.
longest time listener. You are for sure our most ardent listener that isn't Peruvian.
I will tell you
true.
something. I wanted to wait until we were recording to mention this to you, both of you, but specifically you. I've been getting some feedback on some episodes outside of Jeff.
That's good.
Right? People who are not directly our friends.
Oh.
Or like friends with me but don't know you. Right?
Okay.
And I've got some really good feedback on the Nintendo 64 episode.
Cool.
Some really good feedback on Children of Men.
Sweet.
And so far, everybody that I've been talking to who've given the show a chance have just really been enjoying it. They're liking what we're doing. So we're just going to keep on going.
We're going to keep on trucking as best as we can.
Keep doing this until everybody hates us.
Yeah. How weird is it that the data would suggest that we've been listened to on 6 continents? That's weird.
There's something wrong with the
That's
data.
weird.
Impressive.
Whatever the fuck is wrong with the rest of the world, thank you. Keep it going. We appreciate it.
You're clearly desperate for content.
And if you're desperate, I'm going to give you some content. You may not be satisfied. But
Most likely not
no,
satisfied.
but you're going to get it anyway.
Yeah,
It
won't be
came off
long.
way more threatening
Yeah.
than I mean.
Yes.
That's very intimidating.
So we are talking today. You are here, Jafar, to discuss the quintessential record from the year 2000, Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park.
Yeah, and you're, in my opinion, and I really wanted you on the show for this episode because, you know, I fashion myself a pretty big Linkin Park fan. Zero shame. I don't care who has a problem with it. You know, Linkin Park can be very divisive for sure, but you know, it's the album. The group has been a big part of my life growing up. But you're probably the biggest Linkin Park fan I know.
Ditto. What's in
Easily.
that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not even talking like there's no question.
And I mean that
Out
as
of the
both,
10 people I know,
Yeah.
you're number one.
and I mean that in the strictest terms as both a compliment and an insult. So
That's fair.
You're gonna learn in this episode, folks, that Mr. Brown here. We're gonna figure this out now,
there's a
21 years
complicated-
later.
There's a complicated relationship
That he
between
is
Linkin Park.
both likes Linkin Park but doesn't.
So actually, I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
What my entire complicated relationship with Linkin Park is, and we'll get to it.
Okay, this is
We'll
exciting.
get to it later.
I'm excited
But
to hear
before we
that.
get to Linkin Park, Jafar, we have a tradition here on the podcast.
Okay.
We like to dial the listener, who, as it turns out, in most cases is you, into what we're imbibing while we talk about whatever useless bullshit that we be babbling about. So why don't we?
Would you like me to talk about the beer?
Oh, please talk about that.
Because in my vast knowledge of useless shit that's in my head, I'm also a beer nerd.
Yes, he is.
And on top of being a regular nerd. So I'm a bit of a beer snob, but Mr. Brown hooked me up with some decent beer here today.
Okay.
We're drinking Oktoberfest, considering we're in the Oktoberfest season.
Yep.
By Lancaster Brewing, and it's quite tasty.
It's okay. Yeah. I think it's not as bold as some other Oktoberfests are.
It's not as heavy as some of them typically are, but
it tastes really good.
It's smooth. It goes down easy.
I find like a lot of Oktoberfests that I have tend to almost like your introduction to your winter beers. You know, start getting heavier. Not quite like a porter or stout, but
you're not quite in stout season, but you're getting pretty darn close.
yeah. It's definitely getting heavier than a lager. But that one's kind of on the lighter end. I am actually not ingesting that. I'm having a fall festival from Ellicottville Brewing, and it's all right. It's all right. I got it from my wife, who wouldn't drink the Oktoberfest, and it's quite tasty. So,
it actually is an Oktoberfest style beer, and you can tell by the artwork on the label that it has the traditional blue and white diamonds, which is notorious for Oktoberfest.
Look at you go.
Look at you go, beer nerd. I love it.
I told you.
All right.
What we should do for future reference is have like the Vandergrift beer list as sponsored by Nothing Good, right?
Yes.
We should wait until we somehow get a 7th or even 8th continent if they ever discover one, and then we'll have our own beer monthly delivery that Jeff curates. There it is.
Beers of the world.
Beers of the
Across
world.
all 8 continents.
Just a bunch of angry Dutch beers.
continents.
8 continents. We're looking at you, New Zealand. We know what you are. You haven't listened yet, but you don't even fucking know what you're in for.
Yeah, you'll get there.
But before we begin, I have a segment that I'd like to ask the two of you about.
Okay.
So as we are talking about Linkin Park today, Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park, it doesn't matter what they became, but goddamn it, they started as a nu metal band.
Right.
And while doing my very minimal research into the subject, I discovered something that gets me. So the game we're going to play is called Nu Metal or Urban Dictionary.
Okay.
I'm going to say a word or series of words, and you have to guess, is it a nu metal band name or is it something found on Urban Dictionary? Are we ready to play?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start it off. Give you an easy one. Spine Shank.
That is a band, a nu metal band.
I'm going to go with Jeff on this one because he answered really quickly.
That is indeed a nu metal band. That is indeed a nu metal band.
Spine Shank?
Spine Shank.
Sounds
That's
comfortable.
One word.
Yeah.
It just, oof. I tell you what, it's like when you were a kid and you jump on the floor without realizing what was going to happen. You get spine shank.
Yes.
I first met Andy Dufresne. Like, that's what the sisters had her way. They made him listen to Spine Shank. Okay.
Okay.
Next one. Clawfinger.
That's something from the Urban Dictionary.
I agree.
Nu metal band from Sweden.
Clawfinger.
They are actually largely credited with starting the nu metal, the slap kind of a bass sound that would happen. Yeah. There's that one.
That
All right,
great.
here we go. Next one. Langer.
Spell it.
Langer. All one word. Langer.
I'm still going with the Urban Dictionary word.
Same.
Yes, it is Urban Dictionary. It's a British term for penis.
I did not know that.
There you go.
I would have defined it totally differently.
Yeah. Langer longer.
Yeah.
2 more. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Wargasm.
I'm going to say Urban Dictionary.
I say nu metal.
Nu metal band. Wargasm. Nu metal band. I'm really upset that wasn't an Urban Dictionary.
I'd love to hear the definition of that and how
Yes.
they came up with the
That would
name.
be amazing. But it is indeed a nu metal band. And the last one. Hoobastank.
Are you trying with that one? First of all,
Hoobastank.
First of all,
I'm going to say Urban
It's
Dictionary,
Urban Dictionary
because
because it's
that's
not a
not
nu
a nu
metal
metal band.
Okay, yes, first of all, it is not a nu metal band. I just wanted to read the Urban Dictionary definition of Hoobastank.
I didn't even-
Just to say, first of all, the first definition is a very mediocre band.
so
It's a-
mediocre.
Entry 1, I run out of good music to listen to, but I don't want to listen to anything bad, so I'll listen to Hoobastank.
And the reason is you.
Yes.
That's a Hoobastank.
You
That
are,
was-
you
by
are out
the
of
way.
control, sir.
That was so well played, I don't even know how to follow up with that.
Here we go. I'll follow up with the Urban Dictionary reference to Hoobastank. The incredibly fragrant aroma of fecal matter from one's insufficiently wiped ass, typically noticed during doggy-style sex from the receiver by the giver. If you aren't sure what it smells like, take a shit in the toilet and then turn around and stick your face in the bowl and inhale deeply through your nose. Here it is in context.
Do we need context?
Oh, you're going to get context.
Okay.
I started pounding Laura last night doggy style, but she hadn't finished her paperwork. The hoopa stank was so bad, I lost my wood and had to try something else.
Damn.
Wow.
Hoopa stank. That's it. That's our first and possibly only rendition of nu metal or Urban Dictionary.
That was enlightening.
Get ready for the at-home version.
That was something.
There you go.
Learn something new every day.
That's the most research I put into this episode. Other than listening
And
to
I'm
the
done.
record. All right.
With all that in the back burner now.
There it is.
We can talk about the album, right? So we're talking Hybrid Theory. We're talking the band that obviously didn't start new metal, but they really made it palatable for the masses. I feel really confident in that statement, right?
It is the greatest selling nu metal album of all time.
Ever.
Diamond. It went diamond. It's the only album by a nu metal artist that went diamond.
That says something. That says a lot, actually. I mean, it's 12 times platinum.
Yeah, it was also the most highest selling debut album of the 20th century.
Since like Guns N' Roses in
Since
'87.
GNR, yeah.
That's incredible.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing bands that came after Guns N' Roses that not sell nearly as much as somehow Hybrid Theory sold. That says, again, a lot about the timing. The timing was everything in a lot of ways with Hybrid Theory, honestly. And, we're fortunate enough that we're that generation that, like, we stepped right into that.
Ingested it as it was happening, man. Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning, right? So when do you remember, Jeff, hearing Linkin Park for the first time?
Yeah, so I remember, I guess it was summer of 2000 when One Step Closer came out as the single. And, if you look at music in general at that time, so Linkin Park wasn't the first nu metal band that sort of genre had been defined for a few years. You had Korn and Limp Bizkit, and, you guys touched on it in the Eminem episode about how much teenage angst there
What
was
did you drubbing
at that point in time. I
Available
listened
in the
one time.
archives, by the way.
Just go back a few episodes. But at that time, like that type of music and that sort of anger that was sort of in the ethos was driving people to MTV. And it was like sort of this weird time because, MTV played music then.
They
there were
did.
music videos, and TRL was a big thing. And you saw Britney Spears and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Limp Bizkit and Korn in the same top 10.
What a weird time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
what
was
a weird
so
time,
weird.
yeah.
But it was,
TRL, man.
it was starting to get that sort of mainstream play. And so I remember hearing One Step Closer and then seeing the video on MTV in that summer. And I was like, wow, this is such a unique sound compared to everything else that is out. And I think for this album in particular, and maybe two others in their entire catalog, they leaned heavy into that angst. And you could really see and hear that come out in Chester's vocals in particular, and the heavy riffs in most of the songs. But it was just different. It was a unique sound.
Wholly different.
Yeah.
For sure.
How about yourself, Mr. Brown?
Actually, so I can remember the exact moment that I heard of Linkin Park and heard Linkin Park. When Hybrid Theory came out and the video was on, I didn't catch the video first, but there actually used to be a brief 30-second commercial from Best Buy that was an ad for Hybrid Theory. And I can remember it showed a clip of the video with, was it Chester had green hair in the video? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right around
They were in
there.
the sewers.
like
yeah.
So, yeah, right.
It's a weird-ass video.
I heard the hook, and it was stuck in my head. And it took until watching TV enough to see what it was to go. So that's how I first heard of Linkin Park. I only heard that quick little thing featuring the hit One Step Closer, and I heard that, and I heard the thing. So I literally went to the mall and bought the CD based off that commercial. And I actually didn't.
You didn't go to Best Buy, so.
No, that it's Best Buy is the one
Okay.
I went to. Yeah, literally.
I was gonna say,
the Best Buy
it was failed
at the mall.
advertising if you went
Yeah,
to the
I mean,
mall
it's like-
instead of Best Buy.
I went to Sam Goody just to show Best Buy.
With the FYE. Shout out to FYE.
But
Gone but not forgotten.
No, yeah, and actually the first video I ever saw was Crawling, or In the End, one of the two. After that, something far later. But I still don't think I've ever actually seen the One Step Closer video, except from that clip from
That 30 seconds.
that 30 seconds.
You're not missing much. The video makes no sense.
Did a lot of videos make any
yeah.
sense? Then?
Some do. Like,
Couple.
to be fair, crawling makes sense. Like, just from, if you watch the video, you're getting a kind of an idea of what's happening to this character.
Yeah, it's part of the experience.
Right? But
Yeah.
One Step Closer, 0 sense. And so, to much like Jeff here, the first time I've ever heard of Linkin Park was on TRL. And that was back when I watched TRL, which I can't even believe I even watched as much as I did. I saw One Step Closer. And it's funny, like, even in seeing the watching the video, hearing the music, I'm like, that's all right, But I wasn't really super interested.
It didn't resonate yet. Yeah.
And in full context, like what I'd mentioned in our previous music episode, Eminem, especially at that age, I wasn't super music. I only just started getting into like burning CDs with like my own songs, like
Good old Napster.
yeah, LimeWire, Bearshare, the whole 9 yards, right? But I saw the video and I would see it over and over again, right? Like I would watch TRL constantly, because there was nothing else on TV after school.
When you got home from school, there it was.
It wasn't really until I saw In the End that I went, oh, what's this? Now this I can get with, because up until that point, I mean, I had only just started dabbling my toes in rock or alternative or anything heavy. Like, I literally didn't listen to any of that. It just wasn't my thing. Like, and actually, here's a little backstory with my interest in rock and roll in general is rock and wrestling, right? Because growing up, most entrance songs are heavy riffs, a lot of drums, bass, guitar, So that was matter of fact, it was WWF The Music Volume 4.
The one
bought
opens
that.
the ones that opens with Jericho's song.
Yep, I bought that album, and it was like technically the first rock album I ever purchased in my life, which is weird. But I would rock that album over and over again because there was some good jams on it, right? Because I was such a big wrestling fan.
Dino Brown's theme on that was just I was a slapper for me.
It still is, honestly.
With that,
but I'll tell you what, it was the bridge. That I always say that in the end, it bridged the gap for me because there was rap in it, right? And it was not only it was heavy, in the chorus, but there was rap in the verses, and I'm like, I can get with this. This was something different for me.
Yeah, and that was the last single from the album. That single didn't come out until October the next year after the album was out.
That sounds about right.
Can you imagine
And that was
then?
really, I mean, we'll get into the songs later about how that basically made Linkin Park, that song in particular. But, if you look at my upbringing in terms of music, so I grew up listening to classic rock in my dad's car when he was driving us around. As a teenager, I got really into hip-hop, but also really into metal. And so there was always sort of this juxtaposition
for
of what was going on. And if you look through my old CD books, it's like metal album, rap album, metal album, rap album. And so when I first started listening to Linkin Park, I'm like, they're like rapping over this. And there's like influential like hip hop beats. Even on the songs that are heavy, there's still like this undertone of, the way that Johan mixed with the turntables and was dropping those beats in, and I was like, I can really get behind this.
Yeah, there's rap, electronic, there's turntable, there was
a ton of influences.
There's so much happening, and if you grew up in a certain way, like listen to specific genres of music, Linkin Park was an amazing bridge to being brave enough to dabble into like.
Something
so what's
else.
this Foo Fighters all about? Let me try that out.
Yeah,
that's literally how it happened for me.
Yeah. I think I think it's really interesting because of any issues that come up for me along my journey with Linkin Park. The production of Hybrid Theory will never be one of them. I mean, to this day, 21 years later, we're literally in the month of the 21-year anniversary of this album. The guitars still crunch and they still hold up. It's not like listening to a classic rock song, which even 10 years later sounded dated. Even the guitar tones from grunge stuff was dated by the early 2000s. Yeah. This shit holds up production-wise. It's excellent. It was ahead of its time. Most of that album, the way it was done, was ahead of its time.
Yeah, and if you listen to new metal and EW metal, like newer metal bands that are out now, you see a lot of influences that come from Linkin Park specifically, but still nothing that sounds like that. And even on current rock stations, they still play all those Linkin Park songs, even all the way back to Hybrid Theory. So it still holds true.
Yeah, as lame as it may sound, I mean, a lot of those tracks are timeless.
Yeah,
they hit.
Yeah, I think the songs that they'll play off of Hybrid Theory, I would agree with that. I really think my biggest problem with Linkin Park doesn't get started until later into their run. First of all, though I adore, spoiler alert here, folks, though I adore Hybrid Theory in a lot of ways, I still think Meteora is a better album, right? At least from a production standpoint. It's where it started for me, when I had to take a step back and go, what the fuck is this? It's the goddamn Transformers song they did. And I was like, what is this? And I listened to, what the fuck is this?
That was the first Transformers song.
Yeah,
the second one.
Yeah, well, any Transformers song. Anything associated with the Transformers fucking movies, except, no, even Megan Fox. I'm like, what is this? But it made me start to, and I feel like I started looking back on the Linkin Park that I liked with that,
like, do I really know you?
Like, what?
I'm not sure if I could trust you anymore.
Now I know what your intentions are, sir.
And this is like kind of going far ahead on this conversation, but kind of, you brought it up. I mean, a lot of people that I knew when we were young who were big Linkin Park fans were like, I don't like the direction they're in. What's this weird pop bullshit music they're making? My thing is, I've always appreciated their willingness to just do what the fuck they want to do. And not only do what they want to do, but do it so well and do it engineered in such a quality. Like, years later, right? Like, even like the last two albums, I wouldn't say that they're my favorite Linkin Park albums by far, but their ability to just grow as a human beings, right? You can't be an angsty adult, like, really, right? Those first two albums were like very in line with being young.
Oh my god, so
being
angsty.
hungry, piss and vinegar.
Yeah, those were their two metal albums.
Fuck you, mom and dad. That bullshit, right? I mean, that's Meteora, and that is definitely Hybrid Theory. Hardcore Hybrid Theory, right? Which is why it resonated with so many young people.
Oh, for sure. If you took Hybrid Theory, all the music out of it, and you just had Chester's vocals, and you just pictured Chester in his driveway screaming at his parents, it all checks out. Yeah. It all completely checks out. But then when he gets older,
How angsty and so mad about life can you be when you're a multimillionaire and you're selling out stadiums around the world and traveling the entire world? So, like, on that level, I respect the group going, no, that's not who we are anymore. We literally grew up. We're married now. We got kids. We're doing things. There are bigger pictures. Like, so many of their songs were about social commentary. Like, how many new metal bands are really doing that? Right, growing
that you wanted to hear
artists.
what they had to say.
Yeah. And if you look at the first two albums, I mean, none of those songs were like saying "fuck you" to their listeners for the sake of saying "fuck you" to the listeners. You know what I mean? And so they leaned heavy into metal, and then after Meteora, they started experimenting more. Their style had changed over the years, and you can see that progress through all of their albums. And then the Hunting Party, which was their second to last album, they're like, we're going to go back to our metal roots because that's what the fans want. Maybe the fans we lost along the way, we'll bring them back with that. And that album was fucking heavy. Yeah. And then after that, they went to One More Light, which is their most diverse,
really good album,
non-metal album ever, which was very divisive to their fans and, led to a lot of
interestingly enough, you really like Meteora, like, you think it's better. I really, being a fan of Linkin Park, really didn't like Meteora because it felt like it wasn't Meteora.
It was
felt
more
like
of the same.
It was Hybrid Theory Part 2.
I see. I think in a way it was, for me personally, I think it did have a lot of the energy from Hybrid Theory that made it, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Hybrid Theory, but fuck you, Peru. We do what we want, okay?
Are you even listening anymore, Peru?
You're in my house, okay? And also, before I keep going on that thought, I just want to say to our new listeners in Israel, Algeria, Canada, the United Kingdom, Austria, Australia. Fuck you.
Oh, boy.
Welcome to the family. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Nothing Good
invitation is
Nation.
open to come and kiss one of us on the mouth.
Preferably Jeff.
Yes, definitely Jafar. But
If I'm back, I don't know if I'll be invited back. We'll see.
that's
By
your
the
only
way,
job.
Peru, it's nice to meet you.
Critique our beer and make out with our audience. That's not a bad job.
That's a
But,
win-win.
so and the angstiness is often my least favorite part of listening back to old Linkin Park. But I thought Meteora was like Hybrid Theory has some really good songs that kind of stand as a collection of good songs, right?
Yeah.
I think Meteora flows as a record, right?
Oh, it's not a bad record.
No, and it flows
great.
as an album. And it's produced that way, and also they lean into that. It's still the hip hop and the rock and the metal hybrid, but they lean into what would eventually become a signature part of their sound, which is the electronic production, right? Using that electronic and reverb as a segue in between to create, even if it's only for 10 seconds, that ambiance in between tracks that like kind of catch you into it. So I think that's why when I reflect that if you asked me which one of those two records would I put on if I had to choose one, I would pick Meteora. But then again, too, yeah, there are some slappers on Hybrid Theory. There's absolutely no way around it.
Yeah.
Some shit on Hybrid Theory, it comes on, your car can't get loud enough sometimes.
Yeah, and I
100%.
think, as a big Linkin Park fan, and I think I can speak on behalf of all the other three Linkin Park fans that are out there, because I'm not sure how many more there are. But most fans who know the entire catalog, Hybrid Theory is not their favorite album. It's not mine. Mine is Minutes to Midnight, which
Minutes to Midnight's so good.
happens to have the
The
Transformer
shitty
song
Transformer
on it,
song
so
on it,
I
yeah.
apologize. But
Is that the one
is
Bleed
not-
It Out on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a killer
Yeah.
song. I don't care what you
Yeah, so, but Hybrid Theory, it still holds up so well today, and it's so good, granted a few portions in between, but from
Yeah.
start to finish, even listening back 21 years later, like, that shit holds up.
So let's dive. Okay, so I had the idea I wanted to maybe we don't have to spend a lot of time on each song, but I think it's a pretty short album, so I think it warrants some our thoughts on particular songs, and that'll give us an opportunity to say what you think is the underrated song, the gem, or if this song really doesn't belong on this album. And I'll start off with Paper Cut, which honest to God, man, Paper Cut's like still top 5 Linkin Park songs of all time, hands down. Top 3 songs of all time. That song, no matter when I hear it, and you just go, oh shit, here we go. You know it's gonna hit hard. It's gonna knock you right in the face.
Yeah, and it's one of the best lead-off songs on any album.
I can't think of
100%.
Yeah.
It's from a pure song composition standpoint. It's the smartest song on that record because of the way it absolutely, and it does very few songs on the record. I don't think any other song does it this way. Definitely doesn't on that record. But starts off with that vibe, gives you the definitive Linkin Park sound, then starts with the verse, and by the end, you're blending 2 to 3 different melodies at the end of the song, and it just builds. And it builds, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds. And so it doesn't matter. The next song on the album could just be Mike Shinoda like farting into the microphone, but you're hyped for whatever it is because it ends on such a.
You're
it ends on a
invested.
10. Yeah,
Yeah.
it ends on a 10. So just it doesn't matter if that song is kick-ass or not, which it absolutely fucking is, right?
Yeah.
The composition and the way they layer that is an incredible opening track for anybody's record. So
Plus, as the first album for a new band, like, that's a hell of a introduction statement. Like,
oh yeah,
It's like the
here we
purest
are.
Linkin
This
Park
is
song there
who we
is.
are, and you can hear elements of all their influences just
In every
in that
single
first
player.
song.
Yeah.
And I was I take my little notes here and I'm like, listen to the song. I listened to each song 2 or 3 times doing my research because I wanted to really like listen to it with the lyrics up, listen to it again, just listen to it, and then like take my notes the 3rd time, right? And listening to it, I'm thinking to myself, I love this song. I've always loved this song. The song sold the shit out of me when I put the CD in my little CD Walkman the first time, right? But now, as a grown-ass man, and I'm listening to it, like really listening to it, the lyrics, I mean, they're generic as shit. Now, here's the deal. Hear me out. As generic as the lyrics are, that's not a shot at the band, but because this whole album is about a lot of mental health stuff, and this song is very mental health, right? If you really think about it, because you're dealing with bipolar disorder, depression. A lot of people that I've known in my life, who deal with significant levels of paranoid schizophrenia. Like, that's what it's like, right? So, but as generic as those lyrics really are, it's not the lyrics anymore for me. Fuck the music.
Oh yeah,
it's an experience. Yeah,
it's
there's
really
the way it makes
aggressive.
you feel. Yeah,
it's almost tragic sounding. It's scary sounding. Like, it's trying to hurt you. It's trying to harm you. It sounds like a horror movie. Like, does that make sense?
I mean, 100%. I think. So I would never tell somebody that I consider myself a lyrics first person. I'm a vibe first in a song, and then what you say second. I think, which is why Linkin Park. I have such a hot and cold relationship with it, because you can't help but listen to the lyrics in a Linkin Park song. So, so then I'm now critical of it. You know what I mean, to a certain extent. And my biggest problem with the song's lyrics is that he says paranoid or paranoia like 90,000 times in there. But I didn't really see the song as being about mental health as much as I thought the song being called Paper Cut as one little thing that makes you go completely apeshit, right? And that's what I kind of always interpreted as this. Here's that little tiny little thing that you blow out of proportion because you've got so much shit on your mind. And, you know, when you're an angry 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, you're like, yeah! Whatever. But for me, remember, I bought the album on 30 seconds of a clip. I did not expect Paper Cut when I went home and put that in my boombox.
Yeah. You went,
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yes.
And it's one of those things that I think we've all done this with certain songs, and this is one of the first times I remember doing this, where you're listening to a song and you're liking it, but then you get to that one part that you didn't expect coming, and it makes you feel away, and you immediately hit back. To hear the song over again, like, how did I not see that coming? And it builds up, and whenever when Chester sings, and then Mike comes in with that chorus,
that's the best part of the whole song.
Back right there.
The last 60 seconds of the song are the best parts of the song when they harmonize together, and you're just like you feel that, like you really feel the music.
Incredible opening track.
And to kind of preface this whole album, right? Doing a little bit of research, and Jeff, you probably know more about this than I do, but a lot of this album is about Chester's kind of upbringing.
Yep.
And a lot of, like, the sexual abuse, the drug abuse.
Yeah, it was his release, basically.
Yeah. Which is why, like, I think, like, I look at this song, I go, to me, it's about mental health, right? Because just thinking about, like, you know, there's another part of me underneath that's questioning everything I do, telling me that I'm not good enough, telling me that I can't. You have the same problem, but mine is worse. I don't know, right? And on top of, unfortunately, with him committing suicide, it gives all the songs a whole other layer to me of sad.
Yeah, it makes you listen a little different.
100%
on the back end.
All their songs,
for sure.
honestly.
And even as you get older, and your taste changes, and changes in your family, and you're just growing as a person. You're like, back then, like, I was just rocking out for the sake of rocking out. I didn't really care what the lyrics were. I just could feel it.
Yeah.
Whether it was Chester screaming or Mike rapping. And now it's like, those lyrics were way deeper than anyone was really.
Especially the Chester heavy songs, you now knowing what he was already dealing with.
You can feel it.
Right? Like, from what I understand, like, when he was a kid, he was being sexually abused by a neighbor, I believe, or something like that, who was also sexually abused. That's why he was doing it to him.
Yeah, it was from I think it was like ages 7 to 13, and then his parents went through a messy divorce, and then he started doing drugs and drinking by the time he was like 14.
All these songs that are like, I'm like, oh man, yeah. And now I'm like, that dude was saying some shit that was in his head.
Well, yeah. So I teased earlier in the episode that I had uncovered what it is, and this is a weird vibe for me, because I'm listening to it for this podcast. I was like, all right, let me ask myself,
all right,
what don't I like about Linkin Park that makes me react so in a no I was gonna say bipolar, but that's tasteless, and such a back and forth manner on it. And this is where, for the only time probably in the history of this podcast, where I will put a disclaimer. So the thing that I like the least about Linkin Park is Chester, because I find it's too whiny, right? But when what happened to him, I just opted not to listen to any Linkin Park, because I didn't feel like, was I just being critical because I didn't like the way he sounded when he said it, or the way he made me feel, and it's almost to a certain point now, like, kind of unpacking about it. it makes you. It's so direct, and it doesn't mince words with a lot of what he says. Mike's the clever one, right?
Right.
He's the one doing wordplay back and forth.
Lyricist.
Yes, he's the lyricist, and Chester's putting his heart out on his sleeve, right? And for a second, for a long time, I thought he was whiny, but really, I think it's so direct that it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Especially now.
And I think that's what it is. It makes me. It's like because he's always mixed so high on the record. He dominates. You know, and the vocals. That's a good thing about Linkin Park too. Is that you can never say, "Oh, the vocal was buried in that song." I didn't quite understand. You know every syllable what they're saying in those songs. And it's just like I think in years as I get older, I'm like, yeah. It's not that he was whiny. It's just wasn't really prepared or emotionally in a place to hear what he had to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I said when I like. What do I go back and forth about Linkin Park? It's like was the problem Linkin Park or was the problem me? Really? Right?
That's deep.
Deep thoughts with Noah Brown. You know, and it's interesting. I was in the same boat as you with that "What I've Done" song, right? Like, first of all, fuck Transformers, the entire franchise, not the cartoon, not the toys, but the movie.
Michael Bay. Just fuck Michael Bay
Well,
with a cactus.
so he commits suicide, and now when I listen to that song, I hear it. What I've done, erase myself, cross out what I've become, all that shit. It's totally different now. I'm telling you, like, and I have moments now when I'm like, because I have so many Linkin Park songs in like rotation and like different playlists all over the place, and like a song will come up I haven't listened to in like 10 years, and I go, "This is fucking sad." Skip. It's just heavy. It's too much because I know, like now because I only really learned about a lot of the abuse and all that shit for the last like 4 years, and now it like adds this layer of bullshit complexity that I'm not prepared for and I don't want to deal with. Much like kind of what you're saying, it's heavy, right?
Yeah, not necessarily just thinking about what he's saying, but the way that he says it. Mm-hmm. And even though to some it's whining,
Yeah.
he has one of the most unique and distinct singing voices for a rock band
that I've
ever.
ever heard.
And he's technically amazing.
Yeah, and he can turn that scream on like that, which most people can't do. But there's something, even when he's screaming, there's something so melodic about it. Mm-hmm. His range and his control to make you feel that way while he's also, getting that personal release out. And these are my emotions and I'm throwing them out there, whether they resonate with you or not, because everybody perceives music and lyrics in a different way. But whether it resonates or not, it was good release for him, I think.
Oh,
to be able to just scream it all out.
There was an interview, I'm sure you've seen it, Jeff, where it was maybe the year he committed suicide. He was talking about what it's like in his head, and how, like, his identity. Like, he says, and it was so chilling to me because, I've known people personally who deal with this stuff, and you don't phone that shit in just for attention, right? He's like, it's scary in my head. He goes, I'm a bandmate, I'm a father, I'm a husband, like, but when I'm by myself, it's not good.
Yeah, it's a scary place.
And, like, that thought, that idea, and I'm so lucky that I don't have to deal with that or struggle with that, to know that, I sometimes hear him sing, and like even live songs, I'll catch something on YouTube or something, you can hear in his voice that pain's coming out. He's letting so much out, and it's just never ending.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next song.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Song number 2, One Step Closer.
I'm going to go and say it is the most overrated song of this entire album.
So are we mixing our so before we began we had like a little list of things. Are we going to go back to that, or you want to mix them in as we go as we hit the songs that get to our favorite or least favorite?
That's fine.
All right, cool. I just want to know for future reference as we get further. Paper Cut was my favorite song on the record, by the way.
Don't blame you.
No.
It's not mine, but
No.
Same. It's a good choice.
10 years ago it was, but not anymore.
Yeah, no, I just can't. It's it hits so hard every time. And it's the one song that if you ask me to put one on from Hypothermia, you bet your sweet Peruvian ass that I'm gonna put Paper Cut on. So that was it. One Step Closer. It's one of those I don't dislike it as much as I dislike some of the other songs on this record, or at least I don't think it's as overrated as the other ones. But for a lot of people, it's the first thing you experience from Linkin Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's always going to be mean, pick another band that you love, right? Beastie Boys or Muse or something else along those lines, right?
There's always that one song that takes you all the way back.
That takes you there, that you get entered in on, and then as you listen, you're like, oh, and then you're way past all that other stuff. But there's still that entry level song.
Brings you back.
So because it's the first thing you heard from them, I couldn't put it at the bottom. You know what I mean? Because it's the thing that hooked you enough to pay attention to it.
That's
know,
a fair
at least
point.
on my end.
That's a fair point.
But the song is definitely totally recognizable riff. Opens up that.
Oh my
song.
goodness, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's very like if you had to say hybrid theory in one song, One Step Closer. It's not a bad way to go into it. But
most people have heard One Step Closer at least once, even by accident, pure accident. But I think that it's not a bad. Again, there are no bad songs on this album, but that is definitely. I feel like it gets more praise than it deserves. There are far better songs on this album than One Step Closer. It's just again, like much like Paper Cut, it's a very Linkin Parky sound.
Yeah, it has a special place in the overall catalog of Linkin Park. I agree, it's not the best song on the album. I don't think it's the worst. It's been overplayed a lot.
Oh yes,
but when you hear it, you immediately know, like, oh yeah, Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like that anthem.
Now that I'm thinking of Linkin Park, I'm going to go listen to the songs that I like.
It's the anthem for, like, really angry teenagers.
So pull that up in my Spotify and add a couple different songs to my queue. As it comes on next time I'm
But it sucks you
around.
back in, and that's all you can ask for.
I mean, the guitar on that song, the tone on that, though. You guys got to give respect. That is that not only that riff, but that guitar tone, people have, I guarantee, for years, to this day, people walk into a music shop and they're like, look at the good amplifier, please. What kind of sound are you looking for? One Step Closer. Say no more, fam. And then they go over.
Say no more.
They got you.
I dig that. Yeah. I dig that. So we got With You, which is a really good song. I think I put that in the, like, it doesn't really get enough attention. I'm not one of the best songs, but it's a really good song in itself. Yeah, for what it's trying, that's the story it's trying to tell.
Yeah, and that song, I think, is the first song on the album that really highlights the turntables.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because the first two songs, they're sort of overburdened and downplayed by the guitars and the heavy riffs. Whereas here, like, they lead with the turntables and they lead that into the first verse. And you don't see that in the first two songs at all. And I think that's when you first start being like, oh yeah, by the way, this band has a DJ.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not like a DJ who's just up there like doing a mix with a sample.
No.
It's like he has all these sounds, these technical and electronic sounds that he's basically reconveying as instruments through his one instrument, which is one of the unique things.
Johan does not get the play he deserves, I think, in the greater like vision of Linkin Park, because without him, the sound would be so different.
Oh no, I mean we just got done fluffing all over Meteorola, but that's almost like his record to a certain extent, right? Because of how it's produced. I think I agree with you on that one. You only hear like little splashes of the turntable just in transitions, right? Yeah, in the first two songs, and this is the first one. And then you hear much later, and on his song in the record, right? That you're like, there's a whole guy here. Okay, cool.
There's a human being on this song. Actually, this song, I remember when I listened to this album over and over again, 21 years ago or 20 years ago when I actually ended up buying it. I didn't like the song at all. It didn't resonate with me. I didn't vibe with it. I couldn't connect with what Mike was trying to say. Now that I'm an adult, and I've lived, and I've loved, and I've broken hearts, had my heart broken. I've lived with people, not lived with people. I have a whole understanding of this song, and I don't even know if that's what they were trying to convey. But like the line, like, even though you're so close to me, you're still so distant, and I can't bring you back. That shit's heavy, actually, because we've all been there on an emotional level with somebody, right? Whether it's a partner or a friend, a family member, that feeling is real. And that's what to me, that's what that song's even about. Is about, like, life gets in the way of love or friendship. And you can be blood related. You can be in love, quote unquote, but you're not even, you're at least sleeping in the same bed with somebody, or, best friends and hanging out every day, but you're not really there with each other anymore. You know what I mean? That's what that song means to me.
the thing that I think with you really kind of illustrates, and Paper Cut to a certain extent, and then as we get later on in the album, is I think with you is a definitive nu metal deep track, because you really hear the fact that a big thing in nu metal in 97, 98, especially 98, 99, 2000 was the 7-string guitar that, you know, Korn used and Seven Dust used, and it adds that extra
Seven Dust,
extra low dissonance, and you hear that on with you whenever they're hitting that chorus, and it's why it sounds so dissonantly minor but still so powerful. It's because the 7-string guitar literally adds a string lower than your standard, and that's what you're playing that minor again on there, so it's a whole different feel. And when that came on, I'm like, they did use a 7-string guitar on this record. Got it. Year 2000, am I right? So that's like the thing that with you. I'm like, there's that standard, like, because you take that out, that could have been early. That song, take out Chester's vocal, right? That could have been a Finger 11 song. Could have been a Head PE, right?
Could have been a Hoobastank song.
Could have been Hoobastank.
Could have been Hoobastank.
Hoobastank now. Kids, I highly encourage you to Urban Dictionary Hoobastank on your own time, but don't Spotify Hoobastank. Hoobastank, you know what you've done. You don't get any fucking rub from us here, right? Especially you, LG area. You know what's up. Keep going on.
So anyhow.
Points of authority.
Yeah, so points of authority.
4.
Which is, man, talk about a 180 for me in a song, right? Because when I was young and I listened to it, I fucking loved this song. The song was a banger. I would just get fired up with it. You know, it was just got a good vibe to it. It had so much going on in it, right? And then years later, I find out what it's about, and now I don't really like it at all because it's about sexual abuse. And I mean, it's still a good song, but it's like it's kind of fucked up, actually, what he's trying to say.
This is the first song that my brain got really mad at me for realizing that it wasn't Collision Course when I was listening to it. Like my brain's like, oh, you suck. Yeah, you drive down the street. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, we're not listening to Collision Course. This isn't an album on Collision Course. And my brain's like, fuck you.
I got a funny story about Collision Course, which Jeff here is wearing a Collision Course shirt, which I
Very
own.
tasteful.
Vintage. It's vintage.
It's I
own that shirt.
They're really pushing that shit out today.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I remember the conversation that I had with one Mr. Brown here about Collision Course, about the potential of the album, and I remember where we were. I don't remember obviously what day it was, but I remember we're sitting either in a car and we were discussing, and I said, "Hey man, I think Jay-Z and Linkin Park are gonna do a thing," and I remember you going, "Fuck that shit. That sounds stupid." I remember so vividly you were like, that is like the worst idea. And I'm like, I don't know, man. This could be something else. And then it came out and you were like, oh, shit.
Yeah, well, because I think MTV was doing the mashups at that time.
And they never did it again.
They never did it again.
No,
I don't think
but you heard the hype for it, right? You heard the hype
Yeah.
for it. By the way, I have I know we're doing Highway Theory, but I have 4 notes on Collision Course.
So good.
And I'm just going to ask this question now. And this is my very last note here. Did Chester ever get his fucking cappuccino?
I don't think he did.
No.
Probably not.
No.
That's why he's so angry.
Right? So,
Maybe.
no, but yeah, and I also remember having that conversation and being completely disinterested until I fucking heard it.
It's so well done.
Oh, goddamn. Right? Because as we mentioned in the Eminem episode, Jay-Z in the late 90s was fucking untouchable.
Oh, yeah.
Untouchable. He's still untouchable, but he was super untouchable at that time. And then Linkin Park, for him, and here's the thing, is that I'm sure for a lot of white people who never listen, in the almost the exact opposite of what we were talking about earlier, who never really got into hip-hop, Linkin Park was their first real experience into that. And then they, quote-unquote, gave Jay-Z the rub. But really, Jay-Z kind of elevated Linkin Park up into the stratosphere.
Absolutely.
And they never came back down.
Absolutely.
Right, from that, yeah. So, and it's Collision Course is a fucking masterpiece, is what it is.
I don't know if you recall. So that year, right after that album came out, was when you and I drove to New York City.
Yes.
For that event, and we fucking blasted that album almost the whole way. It's a whole 8-hour drive.
So good. Yeah.
My only
and
problem,
it's only 6 tracks.
Yeah. I was gonna say my only problem with that whole album is that it's too damn short.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That needs 6 more tracks, easy.
So much potential, but that's the whole point. Sometimes you want to leave them wanting more.
Well, they did.
We just never got the more. You know?
Yeah, it's I know it's been said a million times, but it's MTV did this thing, and then it was so goddamn good. How, on any level, can you follow this? You can't. So you just never do it again.
They just stopped. They're like, yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Now you're like, yeah, no. So anyway, we're actually not only are we not going to do that, but we're going to stop doing music eventually. So, how do you feel about Road Rules?
What do you guys think about Teen Moms?
Teen Mom.
Whole bunch of teen moms. You got to feel real guilty at 1 a.m., aren't you? MTV, teen moms.
So we got Crawling. So to me, Crawling is 100% like when I think of radio rotation, when I think of radio play, I think of Crawling. Mm-hmm. It may not be, right? I think maybe In the End's probably a bit more, but Crawling just reminds me of hearing it on the radio. Right.
If you had asked me what is the most played Linkin Park song, what's the Linkin Park song you heard the most on the radio ever, it would be "Crawling" to me.
And this is a really good song, and it's very unapologetically Chester Bennington, right?
Yep.
I don't think that I've ever heard any other song of his that is just pure him. It's just his song, and he does it in a way that no one could do, right? His sound is just fantastic. The song is really basic, really. Like, it's not a particularly complicated song, but it's still such a hard-hitting. The first time you heard it, you did not expect that drop.
Yeah, so that was the second single off the album. It came out in March of 2001. That was my favorite track on the album.
It wasn't? Okay.
At least then. It's not now, but back then it was, and Chester's performance, that was their first Grammy they won for their performance on Crawling. And if you sort of break down the fundamentals of that song, you can see how the foundation of that you can see influences of that in every single album for the rest of their career.
It definitely hit for them.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, like, at the time, I would jam out so hard to that song.
It was easy to jam out to.
Yeah. Yeah, and now, like, looking back on it, like, yeah, when you think of Linkin Park on the radio, that's the song you think of, even though, One Step Closer was first, but that's always, like, that's the song that'll bring you back to it, no doubt.
For sure. So, on our aforementioned question, least favorite song on the record.
We found it.
Yeah, it's Crawling for me, just because I think it is, in retrospect, it's the least... It's the most simple composition in the entire
album. Very basic, yeah.
Yeah, very basic. And on an album where I was, after not listening to it, at least since he passed away, probably years before that, right? Being blown away with how well they layer it in. And with the exception of the end, going back to that refrain with that opening synthy guitar line, right? How well the entire album is basically written, right? With the exception, then Crawling is the most basic thing. I think that's why it comes in as... least favorite for me.
That makes sense.
And it's not his preconceived whininess that I have now since discovered is really
it was a reach for help.
Yeah, is exactly what it is. And I willfully ignored it for 20 years.
That song is supposedly about his drug abuse, his addiction, and struggling with the choice and not really having one, right? So, like, every song I reviewed, I would write down, like, just words, like, whatever popped into my head, and just... lack of choice is the first thing that thought of. Like, people who deal with, drug abuse and addiction, and to us on the outside, it's like, well, you have a choice, right? You just don't do it. Well, it is definitely not that easy.
I know there's a whole world.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
And that song really conveys that to me.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole subtext of I think most people will never know. And so for most people, it's a choice, right?
Right.
But it's like you never know what you don't know, right? And I think his pain is indicative of that. I think so.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I would agree with that. So man, we're on track 6, and I will tell you this. This is my least favorite song. Runaway.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I really dug it a lot, and it's because I was a kid. And I was super deluxe angsty, and man, was I ever. But the song, like, when I'm writing down, like, what I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, it's immature, and it's very short-sighted, and it's very impatient, petulant. It just doesn't... It rubs me the wrong way now. and I like listened to the whole thing, but I didn't enjoy it.
No, if you say what is the number one song most likely to be sung after your dad grounds you to your room,
Right, exactly.
Runaway.
Yeah, exactly. And and I get like the point of it, but for me, being an adult now and understanding things differently, this song absolutely, if I don't have to listen to it ever again, I will not listen to it.
Yeah. That's how I feel about a different song later on this record.
Oh, so that'll be good. Yeah. I'm curious what it could be. We're getting close to some bangers here. So.
We're getting there.
What about you, Jeff?
What do you? How do you feel about this one?
I'm indifferent for this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Neither.
It was one of those songs I liked a lot more when I was younger,
Yep.
when they all first came out, than I do now. It's what, like, now if I had to listen to 4 songs, that one and a few others that we've already discussed would be skipped over.
I would agree. So that gives us to track 7, By Myself, which is a fucking gem to me.
It's a slapper.
This song, it was always good. I always liked it. But now going back and listening to it again, because I haven't heard this song for a while, is just, it has an energy to it.
That guitar riff and how dissident everything is. This is the only one of the songs that I listened to more than twice doing the review for this, because I couldn't fucking figure out if it was a sample that was that dissident chord in that thing, or if it was just another guitar track layered on. And I'm like, okay, all right, I got to figure out what this. I'm still like, first time I listened to it, I'm like, okay, it's that. And the other time, I'm like, nah, I don't know. I think it might be someone singing through a vocoder to give it that extra like ninth on that chord there.
And it's nice because like Runaway was so, I mean, it was aggressive, but it was
Meh.
very sad. It was very like, well, but By Myself was aggressive, and it had so much more energy. Mike got a chance to come back on and do his thing that he does so well. And something that you used to always say to me a lot when we talked about Linkin Park years ago is that, you typically like the songs where Mike kind of had the reins and Chester kind of just backed him up and provided good vocals in the background. And I'm like thinking that, I'm like, this is kind of the song that Noah would like. It's got a good vibe to it, and it's very introspective. It's very self-loathing, but at the same time, it's like there's growth to be had in this song. Right?
It's such a. You're talking about like how Crawling came in, and you didn't expect it. I mean, like you're never quite prepared for the visceral nature of when By Myself kicks in, and I think I like that very much.
Yeah, and you can really see Chester's range in this song, because even though he's loud, there's this melody and this tone to it, and then when he turns the scream on, he turns it on full throttle.
The last
and it hits hard.
70 seconds of that song is so good.
Oh yeah, and I think that's indicative of what a lot of Linkin Park songs do. I mean, even the later stuff. I mean, love them or hate them. And I think you could even really kind of put the whole band, but Mike Shinoda too, even with the stuff that he's produced post, he knows how to build shit up. Right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I mean, like the Catalyst, right? Like how
so good.
Oh my god! Like talk about like a payoff at the end of that song. You know what I mean? And I think you get like micro versions of that through the stuff. You're like, it's a treat for being invested all the way through. That everything comes together at the end. You're like, there you go. Or, thank you for your time.
Yeah, for as crafty as he is with a microphone, he is a master of Pro Tools for sure.
Absolutely is. He absolutely is, and he became a hell of a guitar player too.
He plays a lot of
plays
instruments.
every instrument.
He does.
Yeah.
Like I always used to joke with people and say I feel like Mike Shinoda is probably one of the best musicians, like ultimately in the world, because of what he's able to do, what he's able to play and play well, what he's able to accomplish, his ability to write.
Yeah.
He wrote a good portion of like lyrics, right? And then Chester would come in and add his own thing, but like, dude is super talented.
Yeah, and the millions of dollars he's made while doing all of it is a little icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, and then like listen, you're talking about Fort Minor, goddamn, like a fucking amazing album, right?
Yeah, Fort Minor
so good.
Will forever get played in sports stadiums, in EA sports games for the rest of the time. He can retire on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the song that bridged the gap, man. In the end, man, like I can tell you, I had many friends growing up when the album was like now officially out, and it's been a long while, who would like grown up in urban areas, people who did not listen to rock and roll, did not listen to screaming, and they're like fucking rocking in the end, like singing the lyrics of the song because it was so good. In the end, that piano loop in the beginning, it's so iconic.
Yep.
You just know it when you hear like, oh, that's in the end, right? The song,
Definitive, yeah.
I think the song, if I went through a period where I thought the song was pretty like, it's okay. When I first heard it, I thought it was amazing. Then I went like, it's okay. Now that I'm an adult and I'm older and I'm like, I've listened to so many more songs, and I can say that now that I'm listening to it, it's really good. Like, it's exactly what it needs to be. It's composed really well. It's very tight. All the songs are actually, I mean, they're really tight and they're really, straight to the point, but in the end is so well written for what it's supposed to be and gets a point across, gets an emotion across. Chester does his job amazingly. Mike crushes it. It's simple, it's straight to the point. It's not complicated. I really like that song a lot.
Yeah, that specifically is a song that made Linkin Park.
I would agree with that.
That's one of two of their songs that has over 1 billion streams and downloads, that and Numb off of Meteora. But that particular song is what got them mainstream play on pop stations.
I believe it.
And there was, at that time, there was some overlap. Like, they were playing, every once in a while you hear a Limp Bizkit song.
Hear something there. Yeah.
And you'd hear, random things on alternative rock stations. Like, you'd hear Eminem playing. I know they played it here on the X and in the X in Detroit, where I listened to it when I was growing up. But that particular song, in the end, that was what broke everything for them. I mean, that's what busted the whole thing wide open. And it was their last single of the entire album. It was Chester's least favorite song.
Yeah, apparently he did not like that song.
He did not like that song at all. And the rest of the band was like, I think we know this song is gonna, make it for us. Like, this song is gonna make the band. And when they started playing it, it was like, holy shit, all bets are off. And here we are.
And, the key to a good song for me, personally, is my ability to remember and regurgitate the lyrics to the song, right? And, man, it is easy to follow along with that song. He raps just fast enough with a good cadence that I can remember everything. He's not going too fast, not too many, triple, quadruple entendres, and he's just getting straight to the point. I know that song backwards and forwards now, still, to this day. I don't listen to it often, but I still know. As soon as I hear it, I know exactly what's coming. What about you? I already know. I feel
he's
like
quiet
look
over
on
there.
your face.
Yeah, he's got some shit to say.
You're going to tell me this is a song you can never hear again, right?
Yeah.
I knew it.
I don't like Crawling, but I can't sit through In the End anymore.
Until the end.
Until the end. Yeah, I can't do it. And I completely agree with everything you're saying. Like, it's absolutely the song that made Linkin Park from a one-hit wonder or a tolerable one-album band. You're like, oh, these guys got legs. Moving on. But it's, I think, all time. And I think that's what's important to note about Linkin Park is that they are a legendary band. And it didn't take them very long to get to that echelon that you kind of look back in retrospect. But they're up there, right? They're absolutely up there. But I think every legendary band's got a song that you could just prefer to not ever hear from them again.
I hear that.
Enter Sandman by Metallica, right? God, pick any song but Hotel California from the Eagles. I mean, any of that other shit, right? Even Eminem's got music that I would prefer never to listen to.
Right.
A lot of stuff from those first couple records.
Right.
It was great then. Now it's like, oh boy, that's kind of cringe.
But yeah, I mean, I'm allowed to. I feel like I'm allowed to say that I understand what the song did for them and how huge the song was. And
still is.
It's enormous. It's enormous. Like a billion listens in the 21st century.
And it's an incredibly important song.
Yeah.
I think just musically, culturally, for a lot of people.
It absolutely was super well produced. Because, like you said, that iconic piano loop, right? I just could go for never hearing it for the rest of my life. That would be fine. I think there's a certain echelon of songs that I would like to instill that instead of me voluntarily listening to, I would like to charge people royalties to have to hear. I would, if you said you can't do it with that one, it'd be fine. But God damn it, like Sweet Home Alabama, you better shut the fuck up and pay me if this song is going to go on. Every Kid Rock song I've ever heard in my fucking life.
That's a whole other
with
subdivision.
the exception of Ba With Da Ba, just because I like the intro until he opens his fucking mouth.
Okay.
And it comes like from way back. It comes from like 3 blocks away.
But that's
and
coming
goes,
from his mouth.
My name is... Next. Spends like a day and a half getting to that point. I'm like, that's it. That's fine,
I mean, now that you really bring it up, honestly, whenever I have random music playing, and I literally have no Kid Rock on any of my playlists. However, you ever like listen to Spotify and then your playlist ends, you don't realize it, and it just jumps to something they think you'll like?
Oh, I put a stop to that shit a long time ago because it's shit like this. But
and then Kid Rock will come on and go, what the fuck? Skip. I don't listen to Kid Rock ever because I'm no longer a teenager.
I feel like if you listen to Kid Rock, your phone is going to listen to you listening to Kid Rock, and then you're going to get like natural light coupons in your email address. A lot of Facebook ads for inflatable shit for your lawn.
My God.
I can't do it. I'm not trying to take the piss at anybody. I highly doubt anyone in Israel listens to Kid Rock.
Dude, you never know.
right?
They might be behind a little bit.
They might be, or ahead. Who knows what he's about to do, right? Yeah. But no, that's yeah. But in the end, iconic, sure. But yeah, that if you said what's the one song on Hybrid Theory you're gonna skip, it would be In the End.
Yeah, I hear that.
I respect that.
So,
of course, it doesn't even matter.
Ooh, I like that.
Twice.
Still got it.
Yeah.
So this leads me to track number 9, and man, I've been looking forward to getting to this because this is, to me, without question, my favorite song on the entire album. And on top of that, I think is the single most underrated song on this entire album. Place for My Head is so goddamn good. And no one talks about it. It's not a song
it's sort of forgotten.
It is, and it's weird.
Until you listen to the album in its entirety, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I fucking forgot
that
about
one's
this
right
song.
there.
It's so
That's
good."
It's right after In the End. You know what I mean? And your brain kind of like it needs a song or two to recover from the big slappers, right?
Yeah.
So if you put a gun to my head, say, "All right, man, listen, you got to reorder a Hybrid Theory and track listing."
Yeah.
This is the first song that goes on.
Okay.
That dun, 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 and you're just like, "Oh, what's this?" And then like Mike just goes the fuck to town, right? Like simple lyrics, always simple lyrics. He doesn't really get into complicated, more deeper meaning lyrics until years later, right? But I mean, like, was it I watch how the moon sits in sky in a dark night with the light from the sun, but the sun doesn't give light to the moon, assuming the moon's going to owe it one, right? So that line is it's simple, but it makes so much fucking sense because we all know that feeling.
Well, he's clever as fuck.
We all had roommates because, I mean, really, it's about living with somebody who's kind of a piece of shit. I mean, like, let's be real.
Been there.
We've all been there before in our lives. You know what I mean? And what?
You're like laughing, and you turned to me and went, "Know what I mean?" That's fucking serious.
No,
For the listeners at home, these two made super awkward eye contact just a second ago.
I'm trying to drive home a point, right? Because, but that's what that's, and I knew people personally who would
get a mediator in here,
would relate that song to a situation they had with their roommate that they didn't like. I literally have had these conversations with people. I'm like, that song is so angry. It is so fed the fuck up. It's about to punch you in the face, and I love that.
Yeah, what I love about that song, not only the song in general, but its placement on the album, because you're coming off of that slow piano at the end of In the End, and that song is so chill, and then it just comes in hard, and it's relentless.
Absolutely.
Throughout that whole track. And if you look at the speed that Mike is rapping from one song to the other, the contrast, you're like, damn, this guy's good.
I actually have just to kind of add a note, when you asked us what our underrated and overrated song is, I have the first half of Place for My Head as the most underrated song on the record. It's because it's
just the first half.
Just because it comes out of nowhere with where it is, and it has a unique vibe, and it's the drums. The drums are the tightest that they are in the entire album because he's all those the hi hats and breaks, and he breaks, and it just like for a second, it's almost like it could have been a different band for a second before the first chorus. You're just like, oh shit, what is this? And it takes you to a place, and I just thought, and then when it gets to the breakdown with the "you try to take the best of me," and it goes,
you don't like that part.
I think it goes back to something we've heard from the rest of the record. You know what I mean? But that first half of that song, it's especially for where it comes from. After In the End, you're like, where you going? Where you going? Okay.
Yeah, I just love it. It's just a lot going on in that song. It's just a lot of noise, a lot of sounds happening, being layered, and live. That song's pretty goddamn good too. Live,
absolutely.
that song is amazing live. But I mean, that Linkin Park's amazing live. Period. So, so we are now on Forgotten, number 10, which
irony.
Another, to me, a gem of a song that is talked about even less.
Yeah.
But it's also a really good song too, because Mike really gets to do his goddamn thing. I say goddamn a lot. I'm sorry, people.
No,
It's a thing I can't. I really tried not to do it, but I just do it.
God damn it!
It's a fucking problem I have. But seriously, Forgotten is. I've always really liked it. It's one of those songs that I liked when I was younger, and I just forgot all about it. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot how good this is actually. And like the end where Mike's kind of going back and forth, and Chester's kind of like humming in the background, like the ooh, like that whole part is really well done.
Yeah, that is actually my favorite song on the album.
Nice.
And it wasn't at the time when it came out. When they did the reissue last year for the 20-year anniversary, when I played the whole album back for the first time in a long time, I was like, man, this song's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's really
and
good.
even now, listening back for purposes of this show, that's my favorite song, hands down. And a lot of it is because of the way that song finishes with Chester real
it's
sort
just
of
in the background.
melodic in the background. And
Mike's just
and
doing
Mike
his thing. He's
yeah.
just chewing and he's just spitting. He's just doing his thing.
I think it's really ironic that it's called Forgotten, because of all the songs that I had a memory of and where they were in the album, I had completely forgotten this song fucking existed. Because in my head, it goes from In the End to a place from my head straight into Pushing Me Away. And I forgot, and I just like when I'm like for some reason like that's where my brain latched on. I'm like, okay, and I'm driving like,
So yeah, you like the song, right?
Yeah. I think the second half of the album, with the exception of In the End, right? I think it's tight, and I like the vibe of it. I think the whole album is, again, spoiler alert, extremely impressive, right? But I don't have a complaint, with the exception of In the End, about really any song. That and Crawling, the two biggest songs on the record, are my only two complaints. Probably because I've heard them so many goddamn times in my life.
Probably.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my complaint about the record is the next track, Cure for the Itch.
You don't care for the itch? That was
I can tolerate it, but for me it's like it's the obligatory, we have a DJ in our band,
Yeah.
we need a DJ song.
But I dug that though.
But it highlights the technique and the skill set of Johan, and it influences a lot down the road.
Yes.
But like listening back, I'm like, I don't really need to listen to this. This is the underlying mix of half of the other songs that are to come in the next 15 years.
Yes.
But it just felt like, hey, don't forget, we got a DJ back here.
He's
and
like, you know what?
He can do some impressive shit. So here's this track.
So this guy in the record label was like, he's like scratching out his face. He's like, yeah. So Canada's not going to carry your record without 3 or more minutes of a track, and like we're out of stuff. Chester's like, first of all, I'm still waiting on my fucking cappuccino. Second of all, I've poured everything I have onto this record. What can we do? And it's like, oh, hey, can you lay some shit down?
Yeah, give the DJ some.
Just give him some.
Yeah.
Right? 100% that you would hear bits and pieces of like 1,000 techniques he'd use, and that other people would be influenced by. Because if you think about, to me, what's the most influential other band of the era that sounds nothing like this band, that had a DJ, was Incubus, right? They absolutely made no use of their fucking DJ.
Same.
Yeah, right?
Same with DJ Lethal and Limp Bizkit.
Right.
He was
Right,
just scratching and sampling. That's all he was doing.
And then in later albums, he never even appears. They just like learn to play the keyboards to get the fuck out of the band, right? So, but I mean, they absolutely made best use of it.
Yeah, and as they started leaning more heavy into the electronic sound, I mean, that came into play
oh, yeah, he
on
became crucial.
every song.
I loved also too. I remember the song, but I don't remember. It's funny because of the music you ingest since you've last heard it, right? Mm-hmm. That there's some really huge lo-fi vibes. Like when the dynamics of that song are low, and I'm like, oh my god, there's literally an entire musical industry now based off of the verse of this fucking song. Like that, like if that song itself would have, if half of that song would have come out 3 years ago, it would be on a Spotify chill and study playlist.
Probably. It was like, isn't that fun?
Right?
Let's try something else. And then I remember going, oh, whoa, hey, this is good. I wanted the entire song to sound like that. You know?
So I think it's also indicative of a lot of the record, and any way you ingest music, is that if you find yourself here for, especially when it's as diverse as a group as Linkin Park, if you find yourself here for one thing, other parts could be quote unquote seen as disposable because it's not the thing you're here for, right? If you're here for Chester, then some of the other stuff may not be here. If you're here for Mike, then some of the other stuff you're like, oh, this is a Chester song, right?
Right.
So, and I think that would be on the chopping block for what someone could perceive as a disposable song. But I think it's looking back on the foundation of what Linkin Park would become. I mean, yeah, it's fucking important, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like trying shit out, and the song's all over the place. Let's be honest, the song is completely all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Right, but he would take about 10 ideas in the song, and there's a chunk of Meteora, and there's that one moment that he does at the end of the song, and it's like almost like it's I can't even think of the term for the effect, but it's like it's the synth or a sample spreads out, like it's in the background, and it made me immediately think of Roads Untraveled. That would appear way later, and I'm like, oh,
far down the line.
Yeah, real far. I'm like, oh, but there's that idea. You're like, let's try this again, and it would work. And it's
The one thing I could say about Linkin Park is they really operate as a group, right?
Yeah, the collective is better than the parts.
yep.
They really I've watched a few documentaries on making of this album, making of that album, and you never get a sense that one's doing more than the other, really, in a sense, right? They all come together. They all work on tracks kind of separately, come together and go, how can we make this better? And I remember it's something stupid, and it really is stupid actually, but it stuck with me. I don't know. I think it was the Making of Minutes to Midnight. I think it was. But they were talking about how they were trying to open the palette of how they make music and try different things and really push what they were comfortable with. And then I want to say it was Brad Delson was talking. He's holding a toy robot. And he's shaking it around and slapping against something, and he's like, the sound, we can make something. He wanted to use, and he used that sound in a song, and I wish I remember what song it was. And he recorded that sound just shaking this little toy robot, plastic robot, and altered it, and they did something with it, and it's a part of a song that made $1 million, right? They were so willing to just do things throw things against the wall, see if they stick.
Yeah, because why not?
And I respect that, because it's gutsy, right?
Yeah, especially once they got past Meteora. Those first two albums, they were committed to sort of that metal sound.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were like, we have a fan base, we have a shit ton of money, let's just do what we want to do.
We want, yeah.
And it opened up the avenues of a lot of experimental stuff.
Yeah. Let's not do Hybrid Theory Part 3.
Yeah, and it turned some fans off because they wanted more metal. So they got back to that later down the road. But I think in the general sense of the band, the ability for them to do whatever they wanted and to experiment with new sounds and new techniques and sort of push their listeners a little bit to get them out of their comfort zones.
Absolutely did that.
Yeah.
Often. And I would go, I don't know. Then I come back to it and I'm like, actually, this isn't too bad. Once you kind of get past what you expect them to sound like and go, well, this is just music. What are they trying to say? And I found myself a lot of songs later on that I'm like, I'm just not vibing with. And I still don't. But then there's a lot of songs that if you'd asked me, from 20 years ago, if I'd really liked it, I'd be like, nah, this wouldn't be what I'd like. But I really, really like it a lot because I grew. I matured. My music taste altered, and
You're allowed.
Exactly.
I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you're allowed to grow and mature.
Yeah.
And what you think is awesome, what you don't think is awesome, what you think is funny, what you don't think is funny. And so are the people who make the things that you like, too.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of fans don't really know how to handle that.
No, because they haven't grown yet.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they won't. And that's why certain radio stations, particularly where we live, have literally decided to stop playing music after a certain era, and people love it. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to hear Renegade by Styx for the 83rd time today. I love
that.
It's 4:08 p.m. Renegade's on somewhere.
So, in talking about pushing fans away, let's talk about pushing me away.
That was my favorite
That's a
song.
hell of a segue.
Yeah, thank you. That's the first time I
Very
really tried
nicely
that.
done.
I don't really normally do that. So
You did very clever.
the wheels were turning in my head for last 3 minutes about that.
As you're talking, you're like, how can I get into the last
How
one?
can I slide
How
this
can I
song
do
in?
this?
How can I just slip it in there? Just to see how it feels.
Casually? But anyhow,
That was my favorite song on the record the first time I ever bought the record.
yeah.
I made it through the end, and I can't remember what game I was playing. I think it was right around the time this album came out. Was when I first got into PC gaming, and I think that I don't think I was quite there for Star Wars Jedi Outcast yet, but around that time I was listening to this record and Pushing Me Away as an angsty teen.
Right.
That song, and I think it's funny. There's a lot of songs that I liked as an angsty teen don't hold up, but I like Pushing Me Away because
It's still a nice song.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song. And I think if you look at the first song and the last song.
Oh, man.
They're perfect bookends.
They're so different.
For that introduction to Linkin Park as a band. The way that song builds, it's real mellow on the front end and it finishes heavy on the tail end. I fucking love that song.
Now, I do like it. It's a good song. When I was young, I really liked it. And then I kind of just stopped. I think I listened to it too much. And now I really don't like it. But actually, the Reanimation version is my favorite. That's one of my favorite Linkin Park songs of all time. It was not really a Linkin Park song per se, but the Reanimation's so good. Period.
It is fantastic.
But I think we haven't even talked about it. It's
oddly enough, we haven't even mentioned it once until now.
For what it did, because it's not Linkin Park. It's like the Linkin Park base. It's like someone's like, here, I made chicken stock. Do whatever you're gonna want to do with it.
Yeah. So it's a remix album. That's all it is.
But it's crucial because I think, and this is one of those things, like I think without Reanimation happening because 9 Inch Nails for a couple of years before that had tooled the ideas of here's a single that I'm going to put out, and then here's 5 different remixes of that single on with the single. But it's not till Reanimation hit and and it became huge that people started doing that on the regular. Oh, why would I not I'll put out Year Zero and then wait a year and then here's a remix of Year Zero and then it'll buy me time because it technically counts as a release for me, but it's not really a release for me. People did it all the time. I saw the Animatrix from The Matrix is basically someone doing their version of Reanimation.
So we can really say, again, another way that Linkin Park altered the music industry.
100%.
Because it was a really well-made album.
It's really well done.
That first track, they do so good at that, right? The first track is still, that's in my rotation of songs to listen to, and it sounds great on a good sound system in your car, man. It sounds so good.
Get that low end going. Yep.
But yeah, the Pushing Me Away is a good song. It's fine. I just don't... It's a little too soft for me.
You don't love it.
Yeah, it's a little too...
it
meanders a little bit for me.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's definitely speaks more to 16-year-old Noah than it does 36-year-old Noah. And I think that's why, if you'd asked me in 2000 or winter of 2001, what's your favorite song? I'm like, yeah, Pushing Me Away. Right? But now it's not that. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't really cringe the way if I have a playlist on my Spotify that is my high school jams.
Oh, boy.
And most of them are just there to make me go, God, what an asshole I was. Like, what a fucking piece of shit. That song's not on there because that song doesn't make me feel like, thank you so much, by the way. No almost went right past that one.
The listeners know. We all know.
Especially the entire sweet nation of Peru knows just how it can be. But that song's not on there because that song actually isn't as cringy as some of the other shit on there. But I just think it's one of those things that there's so many fucking bangers on that record that the thing that gets me off, and the only note I have really about it is I'm surprised they ended the record with that, just because it doesn't commit as hard in any particular direction as some of the other songs.
Agreed.
But it's kind of like their equivalent of how a lot of bands end with an acoustic song. It's not like their acoustic song, but they're like, listen, we went all around the spectrum here.
Yeah, let's bring it down a notch.
Let's even keel it out.
See, and that's sort of like when I said earlier about like, okay, well, how would I start the song or start the album? How would I end the album? And I really feel like that song should not be the end. I mean, and I agree that it's a good bookend compared to that with Paper Cut, but if I were in charge of this, that song would be somewhere in the middle. But Crawling would have ended the album. I think the sound, that drain noise would be a good way to end an album.
Yeah. I even think you could have ended it within the end. Even though it might have been a little bit on the nose, just because that's an iconic
that would have
loop. Yeah, it's an iconic loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, too.
And you want to leave it, you always want to leave them wanting more.
Right. And I don't think Pushing Me Away did that.
It does not. No, it ends the album, you're like, sweet. But really, it doesn't do any good on that record because you get to hit play again and start the fucking Paper Cut. And you're like, there we go. That's what I'm here for.
It just loops right back in.
So, okay. We've covered the album.
If I snag one of these while we're here?
Go for it.
You're a beautiful man because I'm parched. I'm just let the dear listener know that I have drank my delicious beverage faster than my cohorts, and this is a Parrot Party dessert sour. Look at you fancy. Bringing sours in here.
Well, Jeff's a man of culture.
He is a full-on beer nerd, and I appreciate it.
So we've covered the album, cover to cover, beginning to end. and I think we did it justice, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did good.
So, my question is, okay, this kind of goes above. You hear that? You like that? I heard that.
Yeah. What's up, Algeria? How you doing? Wait, hold on.
They're never going to listen again.
Everyone else stop. No. Actually, Algeria has already listened more than Peru has.
Really?
Because I'm in on our metrics. So, for the sweet North African listeners that came to hear what they came to hear. I want to see if they can hear it. Hold on. I want to see if
no, they can hear it.
Wait. It's me tongue in the can. Okay, this is for you. That's nice. Not as nice as you, Algeria, but I'll think about it.
Okay, so back to what we were saying.
I said, I'm having a private moment with you.
You're having
with
an
entire
intimate
North
experience.
African country, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, that was the worst thing in the world for me to be able to see who listens to our podcast where. I'm telling you that.
Really? This is too much power.
It's getting very
I'm gonna get a
specific in
tattoo.
there.
So this kind of goes beyond hyper theory, but I wanted to ask
That's really
the
good,
question.
though. That's really good beer.
What is the two of you guys your favorite Linkin Park song of all time?
Oh,
Overarching, period.
Annie.
Yep. Because I don't know if we're ever going to come back to Linkin Park ever again.
Yeah,
So
I have a short list. I'll give you my top three.
Okay,
And
I'll
three
take
is
three.
a tie for two.
okay,
So tied for third place would be Waiting for the End
All right, yeah.
and Numb Encore from Collision Course.
Don't we count in Collision Course?
you kind of have to.
I
Right?
count it.
Well, then, first of all...
Because I like it better than the original version of Numb, which is one of their biggest hits ever. But
Right.
I think that version's better. Number 2 would be Faint from
Yeah.
Meteora. And number 3, my all-time favorite song and one of the best songs live is Bleed It Out from Minutes to Midnight.
Bleed It Out is just a damn good song.
It's a strange thing because I always equate Linkin Park with the two of you, right? Every
As
time
well you should.
The only time I've seen Linkin Park live, you both were there, right? A side note, that's the night I slapped Chris Cornell right on the ass.
I will never forget that.
Yes.
I
All
saw
time.
it happen. And you were beaming
Oh,
afterwards.
dude. I mean, wouldn't you if you slapped Chris Cornell straight on the ass?
No.
Yes, you would. You got to live vicariously through me. So now, and then you've shaken my hand since then. So, you're 3 degrees to his.
Yeah.
his
That same show, I was tailgating very early, and I blacked out for Chris Cornell. I don't even remember that.
I remember
And
you
then
black. You
I
were
was
out.
I was asleep in the lawn at Star Lake. And then when I came to, it was like the intermission between Chris Cornell and Linkin Park.
I remember Chris Cornell. When Busta Rhymes was on earlier that night, I had also been partying quite hard, and I started getting that overheated party thing. So thankfully they had that those like misters, and I did a lap for like 20 minutes. The entire Busta Rhymes set, I was out of my mind. He just was going a million miles an hour, and I was just doing laps in that thing. But yeah, Bleed It Out. Like you guys, I remember hearing that song and I equated to the two of you the first time because it's produced completely different. Because it feels like a band in a room playing the song.
It is just like a jam, big jam.
It is a
session.
jam.
It's
That's probably the best way to describe it. It is a jam. What about you, No? Do you even have enough to have a top 3?
Oh, absolutely. I could tell you fun. I mean, I'm gonna go. I really like Breaking the Habit from Meteora just
Good
because
song.
I love how the vibe of that, because I think with a lot of the other songs still that they've ever done, they come in real heavy, right? But this one comes up with almost like a shuffle, kind of a retro pop, with that drum beat kicking in. And the first time I ever heard it, I was like, that's completely different from them, and I liked it. So I put Breaking the Habit on top 3, and then number 1 and number 2, I would say have to be Skin to Bone, and then directly followed
also
by
a good song.
Then Roads Untraveled. Like that's like, to me, if you said what's the Linkin Park songs that you would listen to, I absolutely play those 2 songs back to back. Honorable mention would be The Catalyst, just because, again, big fucking payoff at the end. You invest the beginning of that.
The crescendo that is so hard.
God, dude, it's like the first time I listened to it, it felt like everything slowed down because of how big it got. But you played me that section. You played me that record, and when I heard Skin to Bone and the way it transitions into Road Untraveled, to this day, that's still, if I put Linkin Park on, it's those 2 songs in a row. And you talk about songs that have a different perspective after Chester passed away. Roads Untraveled, Weep Not for Roads Untraveled, right? And it's like,
There's so much.
Last time I listened to it was like 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, and I was like going to pick up Permane Brothers with my family, and I sat in a parking lot of Permane Brothers and let the song finish, even though my food was ready. I'm like,
It hits different now.
It does.
All those many hit
it's so good.
totally different.
How about you, Doc?
Well, it's okay. So we're doing top 3 then. Number 3 is Little Things. It's like, Little Things Give You Away, or was it just Little Things?
Little Things Give You Away.
Yeah, it's Little Things. Yeah. So that song, which is probably one of the most meaningful songs they've ever done. I mean, it's...
What record is that on?
Is that Minutes to Midnight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Minutes to Midnight. And it's about, New Orleans, flooding.
Oh, that's
because
the
of
Katrina
hurricane.
song.
Yeah.
And
that song is...
They did it on TV. I saw them do that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. And live is so impressive. And it's got so much going on in it. Just, like, instrumentals. There's just so much happening in it. And Chester does just a fantastic job singing this song. And it means a lot. Now, obviously, I've never been affected by the hurricane or the repercussions of it, but I feel, and I appreciate the fact that they put a song out about that. Because they've always been known for, outreach and things like that.
They're big into philanthropy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Number 2, to the surprise of not one human being, is Place for My Head, because that song's a goddamn banger. It's just good. It's just a good song. I already explained why. But number 1, without question, when I heard it, I went, this is the best Linkin Park song I've ever heard, and I've never heard another song top it, is Waiting for the End.
Yeah.
That song is just
so good.
Dope. Like, the whole thing, the whole song, like, at no point am I going, all right, are we going to get to the end? It's just good, beginning to end. And it represents to me their transition, their growth as a band. Because it's nothing like Paper Cut. It's nothing like, Crawling. It's sad. It's introspective. It is aggressive in its own way, but it's got so much maturity to it. In my mind, it has a lot of maturity to it. Chester gets to do his thing. He really gets to do his thing. Mike really gets to do his thing. Everybody, there's so many sounds happening, you can't even tell what is what. And sometimes that's a bad thing, but in this song, I think it really fits. But yeah, that's definitely my top 3. Waiting for You. If it comes on, I don't think I've ever skipped that song once. Never.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
A strange song that I don't think I've ever skipped, and I think I only heard it nationally on the radio once, was Lying From You.
Good song.
Because I just think, to me, it's one of those moments that's like when they hit the no turning back now, right? And you're just like, when you're listening to it, you're like, oh shit, that's good. And then Collision Course happens. And it's just, to me, it's just like a really cool thing. When you heard, it's like, because you hear Chester or Mike do the parts from Jay-Z. That's cool as fuck. But when you heard Jay take the time out of his day to do a Linkin Park line, you're like, all right, that's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him doing Paper Cut refrain, him doing the no turning back now, you're like, all right. It's like, put your jacket on. You're like, what's going on? Sit up a little straighter.
Yeah. When there was a documentary that went along with Collision Course, and when they played Faint live for Jay-Z, he was like, I can rap fast, but not that fast. Like, that is the fastest song I've ever heard.
It's
just to see like that band live, and I've seen a lot of bands live over the years, and there's a lot of bands that are just terrible, absolutely terrible live.
Yeah.
And then there's some bands that sound exactly like the album, like it's nearly spot on. And then there's other bands like this one in particular that they're so much better live.
Yes.
Like they elevate their production to a level that is not matched by many.
I try to explain it to
people, like, to see it change over the years. So I saw Linkin Park in 2001 at Ozfest.
Wow.
They were on main stage.
You sent us that picture of the ticket, and I'd like to post it on our social media if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my first Linkin Park show. They were on the main stage. It was Disturbed, and then Linkin Park, and then Papa Roach, Slipknot, Marilyn Manson, and then Black Sabbath.
Jesus Christ.
Really dating yourself.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I used to go to a lot of metal shows. Like,
I see that.
Getting in the pit in the mud was a lot of fun.
Yeah, did you wear an oversized white T-shirt and Jinko jeans?
I did.
Yeah, there it is.
Pour one out for the juggalos.
First time I saw them live was
Woo, woo.
definitely the X's Kick-Ass Christmas in 2003.
Yeah.
With the Whitfields.
Yeah,
nice.
so that first show in
El Nino.
2001.
Il
And
Nino.
Puddle of Mud.
Nino. So that first show, Hybrid Theory was their only material. They basically played the entire album front to back. And it was one of those things like you could just feel the energy from the crowd and from the band and them just getting into it. And then I saw them half a dozen times over the years, and to see them progress as a band live. And then I was fortunate enough to go to the Celebration of Life show that they did
can't
in
believe you
Hollywood
went to that.
That's super badass
for
that you were
Chester.
there.
And to see the band sort of recover from that, I mean, basically their entire life's work was put on hiatus because of this tragedy. And to see them come out and do Chester proud the way that they played and how hard they went. And they closed with Bleed It Out, and they brought out basically every act that had sang throughout the 3.5 hour show. And every single band was out there. There was probably 40 people on stage.
It's amazing.
Just belting out Chester's lyrics, and it was so fucking powerful and emotional, and it's awesome.
I can imagine.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Because I've watched bits and pieces, because it's a long show. I've only watched
Yeah.
bits and pieces of it, but I would have loved to have been there.
I knew they were doing it when it happened, but in doing the minimal research I did for this, did include looking at the it's One Last Light, right? Or what's that?
One More Light.
One More Light is the last.
That's a sad ass song.
Yeah, well, I mean, just look at the whole last record,
album,
right?
yeah.
The whole album, and then in his passing, and then I wanted to look at who was all involved on that Linkin Park and Friends, the benefit for the celebration at Chester, and it's obviously there's some heavy hitters on that, right? And it's super cool, but I was like the idea that you got Blink-182 on one song, Alanis Morissette shows up, Machine Gun Kelly, and then you brought everyone back out for Bleed Out at the end, and then they played 31 songs on that record?
That's
Yeah, it was
crazy.
On that album,
3.5 hour
show.
set. Yeah.
That's incredible. But I mean, it does. The catalog deserves it.
Yeah,
does
and
justice.
it goes to show the impact that not only the band but Chester as an individual made in the music community, and that not just Hybrid Theory but their entire catalog, the imprint that they've left as a band, and
No doubt.
they are one of the biggest rock bands ever
Yeah.
because of not only their skill set but what they do for the
this-
community and what they do for other artists to help
Yes.
build them up, and started their own record label and bringing other artists up. So they've done a lot, and I have mad respect for them.
Yeah,
I can't not. I mean, there's times in my life where I had to like them, right? I was like, ugh, God, Linkin Park. But like, yeah, if you're talking about like rock bands, especially people that evolved from their first album to their last album, absolutely top 20. Definitely, I don't care about adjusting for gross inflation or not. They got to be in one of the most financially successful, viable acts to ever come out, right? So anyone who's like, oh yes, you can like their music, but they ever draw a dime, like, fuck yes, they did.
Actually.
They absolutely did. And it's like, I don't even care. I'm like, I like the Foo Fighters, right? I don't care. I love the Foo Fighters, and you got to respect where Dave Grohl's coming. You can't deny that the Foo Fighters, in a time where rock music is very largely hurted, and it's hurt and dead, right?
Right.
That they can still draw 80,000 people and play for 3 hours is a hell of a thing, right? But I don't see Jay-Z doing an album with Dave Grohl,
That's
right?
the
You know what I
thing,
mean?
right?
And
Like-
Jay-Z owns a fucking stadium. He doesn't own he owns the stadium, right? Like that's a whole nother stratosphere, and he gave him the stamp, man, and he kept giving him respect. Every chance good.
If you're big enough that Jay-Z goes, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
get
that's all you
picked
need
for
to
that.
say to anybody who says who's Linkin Park. Motherfucker, Jay-Z wanted to work with him. Does he want to work with you?
yes.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did Jay-Z want to work with Mozart or perhaps Chopin? No, he does not. But he wants to work with the Linkin of Park.
Yes. So I think I know you had some questions, Mr. Brown.
I mean, we covered it.
And I would say we kind of
We
largely.
absolutely did cover it. The only thing is that I'm going to end it on a positive note, right? And in doing my precursory research and really reading about how they produced that last concert, and they tweeted, somebody, I believe it was a guitar player, tweeted in March 2020 that they're working on new music to come out at some later date. So
The word on the street is they've been in the studio working on some new music. They said, obviously you can't replace Chester.
You could never
That's such
try.
But I think
big
Mike
shoes
is
to fill. But you know, Mike has gone on to do a couple solo projects. He does a Twitch stream every day.
I catch his Twitch streams from time to time.
He's doing music and art, and he's independently producing up and coming artists, which is awesome. You know, I hope that we get new Linkin Park someday, but
I don't know how I
if
feel
not,
about it.
I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of what we got. You know?
I think Mike has come. If the tragedy had happened, you know, around minutes to midnight, just when Mike was starting to really kind of come out at showing his multifacetedness, you might feel like I can't do without Chester. But I think Mike has grown, right? And he is, and I'll put some respect on his name here for a second. I think when you looked at NWA, you know, when they broke up and everyone came out of that, I mean, at the time NWA broke up, Eazy-E was the biggest star.
Right.
Easy, right? And then as you grow on, Ice Cube kind of became the solo star, but Dre decided...
Dr. Dre took off.
He did, and the Chronic was great, but he spent the largest portion of his career putting other people over. But you can't deny his talent, right? I think Mike has kind of taken that out of the ashes of Linkin Park. He's the Dr. Dre. So if you're going to put the band back together and just tell Mike's going to do 10 tracks where he's carrying the whole thing, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll put it on. Yeah. And absolutely, and people will see it because at the end of the day, here's the kicker, is they could not do anything different than what they've already done, and the brand itself will get people to come out to the show, but they won't let it be shitty.
No.
So you know that even if all it is coming back and playing the same shit they did, it's still going to be good because they won't let it be bad. And that's kind of like, that's a respect thing. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not cashing in here. You're not going to do what so many acts of the day did, which is just go out, play your hits. Who cares if you fall over drunk at the end of the night and then, you know, go to the next town the next day. No, there's an investment. They invested their time in it.
And I think for them, and I think they've come out and said this, you know, since Chester's passing in interviews and stuff, is that they don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. You know, they've made their millions. They're not out to make a buck. If and whatever they do, they want to do Chester proud, and they want to do right by the fans by not just trying to put over the fans. You know what I mean? So
that's good. Well, you know what? Let's. I'll make you a deal. Linkin Park comes out with a new record or something new and exciting. Let's do another episode.
Oh, we will absolutely cover this. We will cover that.
And then, if we ever do and I'm not making any promise, especially to you, the fine people of North Africa.
Promises are being made as we speak.
No, that if we ever decide to do any kind of bonus content on any of our social media, perhaps we'll cover Reanimation.
That would be fun.
Right? And we can talk about
that album.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of a cool little Brucey bonus episode, as it would be. Right? But yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
this has been awesome.
Way to go! You're the first person.
I'm the first guest to sit in this chair.
You're the first.
I'm
you never forget your first.
Breaking this chair, and it's so hard.
Before you never forget your first. I was not woefully prepared. It's like I had bought the equipment to have another person join us on this endeavor, but I was like, oh, what am I? Oh shit, seating. Yeah. But we don't
need another seat at the table, like Roman Reigns.
Excuse me. Oh, right. We're not. Speaking of Roman Reigns, actually, as we record this right now, there's a pro wrestling pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view going on right now that I'm absolutely not going to watch.
Nope.
Nope. I ain't got time for that right now in my life. I got a toddler. I had to pick between babbling about Linkin Park on a podcast or watching WWE. I chose.
I'm glad you picked us.
I picked you guys.
Appreciate it.
That's sweet.
But the night is young and full of terrors, and I do have to do laundry tonight, so I'll half pay attention.
There you go.
Because Big E's champion.
That's
Spoiler,
big deal.
At least at the time we recorded this episode, he might lose it. But my wife suggested that we all sit on the couch, like it's some sort of weird casting couch, and I'll record. And I'm like, that could go super good, but most likely super awful. Like whoever's in the middle,
that's awkward.
Do not anticipate. They would not let me sit between them.
We'd need video for that.
Yeah,
not just sound.
But moving forward, I think this was a great time.
Yes.
No, this was awesome. I appreciate you guys having me. I mean, we've been friends forever, and this is a particular subject that I'm passionate about.
And it showed.
But
it did.
It's been awesome to be here, and hopefully I get a chance to sit in this seat again. And
oh yeah,
that goes without saying.
Oh, we're inviting you back. We got some fun content planned for like further on down the line that we definitely want to get your absolute insight on, and perhaps not at, because you're an expert at this, right? And I feel like you kind of kept me grounded. I didn't mention cum, like, or semen.
There
or
were
anything.
zero sidebars.
Yeah, no, really,
That's
we could
weird.
on there. Yeah,
Well, the subject
I
was
was
really easy to
expecting
get
it,
into.
Right off the bat.
I tried to trade myself this afternoon by saying, listen, these two really like this band, and my biggest problem with
Oh
this
my
band
God.
was is someone who's no longer with us. So try to be respectful, but also I was also wrapped around with like, how can I very tastefully sexually assault our new listeners? But at the same time too, there's a lot of international diplomacy going on with these guys.
You gotta
So I
watch
don't
this shit.
You gotta get murky, right? We
Yeah.
got Austria now, right? Like, and I haven't tried a shitty Austrian accent yet. Give me time. We're not there, right? But,
Thankfully, we're
You
not
gotta
there.
ease into that.
Speaking of shitty accents, I guarantee that next week's episode, you're going to do a shitty accent. Because we cover, strap in folks, the 1990s cinematic masterpiece, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
You excited for that one, Doc?
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, look, the beauty of doing this podcast and creating content is there's always going to be subjects that like, yeah, this will be cool, but you're not super deluxe invested in, or you don't have a lot of experience in, but you're interested enough that you can do the research and cover it and have a good time with it, right? But then every so often, much like this episode, which was really important to me, you get a subject back to back that's also important to you because that movie, man, meant so much to me as a child that I still remember most of the dialogue, and I can regurgitate it on command if I need to. I'm really excited to talk about it because the movie is just a special experience, and it has aged well in my research. I think it's aged very well. Minus some things.
Some things which we will go
Yes,
into.
some things that did not age nearly as well as I remember.
No, and I guess my young mind didn't either get it or blocked it completely out.
Because you're not a bigot.
No, there's a lot of shit in that movie. I remember, and I think the big takeaway, and Jeff, I want to hear your opinion on this film in a second, but the biggest takeaway before we started watching it was that I remember thinking, oh, cool, you always have that Ninja Turtle you wanted to be, but Casey Jones was a badass, right? And then watching it back, oh, God, no.
He's not.
He's a degenerate.
He is not to be idolized. Oh, no. I will make a lot of striking similar recalls. That if Turtles happened today, Casey Jones would listen to the Joe Rogan podcast religiously.
Yep.
And I just feel like that's out there, right? He would buy the male supplements that InfoWars sells you, right? Are you a Ninja Turtles guy? Do you have fond memories of the Turtles?
I am, yeah. That particular movie was one of the most vivid memories I recall as a kid of going to the theater with my dad and my two brothers.
Classic.
I hope Casey Jones is not beating somebody with a Jose Canseco bat these days, but
No.
he's not to be idolized.
No.
Looking back,
Have
at
you
the
watched
time
it?
it was like, this dude's badass.
I have
And
a
was like,
question.
now it's like, oh, that's not great.
Ahead of us, recording, I'm curious, have you watched the movie in the last, 10, 15 years?
Yes, so the theater down at the waterfront, they were doing 90s movies
Oh, were they?
a few years back, and I took Maddie with me to go see it.
Oh, that's cool.
Were you cringing
Yeah.
a little bit with certain parts?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well,
Certain parts are still
because you're a good
kick-ass.
person. You're
Yeah.
a good person.
Certain parts are
Because
still
I was
kick-ass. You're
like, my dad gave me that experience, so I want to give my kid the same experience.
Yeah.
And I was like,
doesn't shake out the quite the
doesn't
same way
always
you found
hold
it.
up.
No. And we're going to cover all that next week
Yes, we are.
in grand detail.
And then just to kind of follow up where we're going after that, and speaking of grand detail and having things that don't age well, so we're having, as you may have kind of deduced, we're hitting our pattern again, right? And we're at music, which means next week is movies, which means the week after that is pro wrestling, and we are ironically the week of Halloween here, 2 weeks away. So we're gonna dive into what is more Halloween in wrestling than WCW's Halloween Havoc 1995. Now, if you are at all a wrestling fan, you go, oh, Jesus, mid-90s WCW. But I assure you, it's far fucking worse than that.
Yes.
Because you get Hulk Hogan versus the Giant in a fucking monster truck sumo match that takes place in the middle of the goddamn show. I'm not going to go any further.
Is this real life? Did that really happen?
It's so
man.
real life.
Oh, there's a whole thing. And it's got and there's nothing. I have recently started prepping for this episode, and for every positive thing that's on there, you get Randy Savage. I mean, I can't tell you how loud I yelled when I realized Randy Savage is on the show. Oh shit! And peak Slim Jim Randy Savage on the show. That you get Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake as the Zodiac. You have a giant Yeti that comes out of a block of ice and dry humps Hulk Hogan to death. There's a whole bunch. Hulk Hogan has his best Vince McMahon steroid trial neck brace on for half of this whole thing. It's a whole bunch of fucking shit. We're going to get that for Halloween.
Well, I'm excited because I haven't done any real research. I'm going to start at some point in the next week or so.
It's going to be wonderful. But most importantly, this week, in a few days, Doc,
yes,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Much appreciated, fellas. I appreciate that.
An old soul.
Getting there.
And the increasingly older body, I guess, right?
I feel it.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day. But yeah, birthday's coming up. I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know. It's landing on a Saturday, thankfully. So that means I can kind of like not go to work and I can just chill out and do whatever I want to do.
Play Destiny 2?
Most likely, but probably not, because my wife will have plans, I'm sure, for us to go do something, go out, my lovely, beautiful wife. But there will be some gaming in there somewhere, I'm sure. Okay. Most likely Destiny 2.
After she falls asleep.
Yes, because it'll be a Saturday, so I can stay up and game.
Right, there it is. Right.
Yeah.
So, but we appreciate everyone joining us and listening, especially to our new listeners across all of Europe. We appreciate it. Not all of Europe listens.
Not yet.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead.
But you
there.
will.
I'm going to go ahead and say to the fine people of Belarus, when you eventually discover this podcast, fuck you. But you know who I don't want to say fuck you to? Jafar.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for being here with us. It was our honor and our pleasure.
It was genuinely a pleasure.
Awesome and a ton of fun, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's going to be good stuff, and we will see you very shortly, and we will see all you, dear listeners, even quicker, because every Tuesday, baby, it's coming, whether you want it to or not. It's about to come. It's about to come. It's coming all over the place every Tuesday, sometimes twice.
Never three times. Never three times.
Not yet. That's when we get to Bret Hart and Steve Austin.
Listen, I just want to tell you, I was thinking about this today. Look, all right, and I know we got to close shop here, but I was getting ready to come over here and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, there's a lot of episodes I'm looking forward to covering, blah, 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 looking at our list of things, and we got down the pipe, but I was get the one subject that I am so amped more than any other subject is Steve Austin and Bret Hart. I'm going to say this every episode until people are sick and tired of hearing it, but it's going to be so much fun to rehash that entire one calendar year.
Oh, yeah.
That's all it was. One of the greatest feuds I have ever witnessed. And actually is the greatest feud I've ever witnessed.
And it's a lot of great shit to unpack. And we will get there.
Yes.
As you know, we may have to, because of our wives wanting to be mad at us for talking too much and too long to each other.
Yeah.
We may have to take several days in a row off of work.
Probably.
Right? Just to be able to hash this out. But we appreciate you hashing it out with us, guys. And we will see you every Tuesday. Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. Apparently, Jafar is the one who actually listens on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate it very much.
Yeah, pretty much almost anywhere you can get podcasts, you can listen to us, and we really appreciate you guys hanging with us and listening, and hopefully you're enjoying as much as we're enjoying it. Just stay safe out there, be good to each other, and we'll catch you next time.
I just want you to know before you guys leave that your pleasure is secondary to mine. And I just want you to know that's the kind of relationship we have. All right? You can finish, but I'm going to finish.
Okay.
And this podcast is finished.